I've been in the Apple ecosystem for the past couple of years. iPhone, Mac, Apple Watch, it's a whole thing. But this is not an iPhone. It's the Google Pixel 6, and it's pretty impressive. Today, we're talking about why I switched to the Pixel and why, even with this phone being really good, I'm probably switching back. Now, I haven't used an Android device as my main phone for a while now. I've used a couple for reviews in the past, but that's all for a few weeks here and there, and I kinda always went back to an iPhone. But I do love Android as well, and with the Pixel being like the cleanest Android experience out there, I thought I'd give it a shot. Plus, it looks really nice in my opinion. I really do like this design. Now, it's absolutely subjective and most people either love it or hate it. There's no middle ground, but I really like it. This feels like a Google Pixel 2, just modernized. Glass on the back of the phone with this matte aluminum frame, it's a nice vibe. This is also the first generation that introduced Google's own Tensor chip. And in benchmarks, it has similar performance to something like Apple's A14, which is in the iPhone 12 and the 12 Pro. But that doesn't mean this phone is slow by any means. And I really don't feel like I'm missing out on performance in any way. Tensor is very well integrated and it can do wonders with like AI, machine learning, and computational photography. There's a lot of cool stuff on it, like live transcription, for example. One other cool thing is the voice typing function. It does exist on iOS, but it's not that good. This is like, even with my accent, it's slightly off at times. It still like hits what I'm talking about 100% of the time. And it's the same thing with Google Assistant. Now I don't really use assistants and voice commands and stuff like that just because they don't exist in my native language. And I would kind of feel silly going around the house and speaking in a language that I don't usually use day to day. But comparing Google Assistant to Siri, it's on a whole different level. It can remember conversations. You don't have to re-ask it a question from the beginning each time. It just feels more present in a conversation. I'm also really impressed with what this camera can do. Again, this is also partially subjective because both iPhones and Pixel phones have great camera systems. And in my opinion, Apple is still number one when it comes to video. But on the photography side of things, I would actually like 80% of the time choose a Pixel photo over an iPhone. It has great dynamic range, color, and just image processing with the Tensor chip is just great. It's a really, really nice camera system. It has the main wide lens as well as the ultra wide. Colors are great, sharpness is amazing, and night photography is, in my opinion, a step above Apple's. Like I said, when it comes to video, iPhone still does a better job in general. But Google came a long way with the Pixel 6 in the video department, and it definitely is a step up from previous generations, and I don't mind it one bit. I've actually used the Pixel to record a couple of videos for the channel, and I think the quality looks amazing. Now, I went a lot more in depth with the camera review and comparison in my Pixel 6 review, and I'll link that video at the end of this one so you can check it out afterwards. So the Pixel 6 is a really nice package. It has good stereo speakers, pretty decent battery life, IP68 rating, plus a lot of nice Android 13 features, which brings me to the software experience. I have to admit, this is one of the reasons that I'm probably gonna go back to an iPhone. Nothing wrong with Android whatsoever, but first of all, I'm really used to iOS, and second of all, Android is not what I remember it being a couple of years ago. They did a lot of things well with it, but there's also some features that I really miss from Android 11 and older. You used to be able to tweak a lot more things with Android natively. Now, of course, there's third-party apps and launchers that you can use to configure and set up this phone the way you want it, to kind of personalize it further, which is, of course, harder to do on an iPhone. But just as a quick example, widgets have been on Android for like a decade, but I still feel like native iOS widgets are much better than native Android widgets. They're just a bit more polished and they just kind of look and work better. Another thing that really bugs me is not being able to change the notification panel. You can only change icon colors and just a lot of small things like that. Now, I do understand that you can do all of that with third-party software, but I just kind of want to have it built in. And the whole idea of Android versus iOS was that Android is much more open and you can do a lot of stuff with it that you really can do on iOS, and iOS is all locked up and they're the ones telling you what you can and cannot do. And I feel like it used to be that way with Android 10 and 11, but lately I feel like something like Samsung's One UI, for example, is a much better choice than vanilla Android on Pixels. So that is one thing that kind of moved me away from it a little bit, or at least something that I really wasn't expecting. But most of all, the reason I'll probably be going back to an iPhone, even something older like an iPhone 12 most likely, is that ecosystem that I mentioned in the beginning. For example, I can't use my Apple Watch without an iPhone at all. It's actually connected to the phone that I'm recording this video with, so my watch won't have to go. And I'm using an M1 Mac Mini as my main editing computer, and it's just really easy to airdrop stuff. iPhones and Macs just work together flawlessly, and I'm just really finding it hard to get used to this new new workflow that just requires additional steps. They got me. I just can't, there's nothing I can do about it, man. I'm weak is what it is. So we'll absolutely use the Pixel for a few more weeks just to see how I feel about it, and maybe I'll change my mind. If I do, I'll make a follow-up video, but for now I'm probably going back. It has nothing to do with the phone. It's really good, great performance, great cameras, basically just a great overall experience. It's just not for me. I'm a different kind of nerd. And if you want to learn more about the Pixel 6, you can check out my official review right here. Video over.